My name is Lisa. I was very beautiful. I was only 16 years old when I got married. My stepmother married me of her own free will. My stepmother forced me into it. 2 years ago, my mother passed away and my father remarried. When I was 14, my mother passed away, and from that day on, I became a burden on her. I cleaned the house, cooked, washed clothes, and obeyed my stepmother in every way. And when I was 16, she told me that I was getting married. I didn't know his name until 2 days before the wedding. I hadn't even seen my husband's face until the first night of our wedding. And on the first night of our wedding, when I was dizzy from the noise of the guests and children who had come to the wedding, he came into the room, closed the door, looked at me with cold eyes and said, "Take off your clothes." I froze. He wasn't screaming, but there was no tenderness, no passion in his tone, just demand. I was sitting on the bed, my heart beating like a drum inside my chest. I held myself tightly. I wanted to cry, but the tears were stuck. He sighed heavily and turned his face away. "I will sleep on the sofa," he said, "but it is better that you behave like a wife." And just like that, he lay down on the sofa far away from me and turned off the light. That night I did not sleep. I spent the whole night awake looking at the ceiling, my hands holding my wedding dress. My husband was 26 years old while I was 16. My husband was a successful businessman. My stepmother said that he wanted a simple, obedient village girl, so he got me married to her. I told him to stay away from me. So he didn't touch me, not the first night, not the second night, not for a whole week, but he didn't talk to me either. He came home late, ate quietly, and fell asleep on the couch. Sometimes he would look at me with tired eyes, but never with warmth. I felt invisible, and yet I was expected to serve him, cook for him, wash his clothes, clean the house, be his wife. But I didn't feel like a wife, because I didn't let him come near me or touch my body. One night I was cleaning the kitchen. Suddenly a glass fell from my hand. It shattered on the floor, cutting my finger. I gasped, and blood started dripping. I tried to hide it. I had a habit of hiding the pain. When my husband found out, he came running into the kitchen. He saw the blood and asked, "Hey, what happened?" I said, "I'm sorry, I broke the glass." He looked at my shaking hands, then at my face. He saw the tears I was trying to hold back. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly. I nodded. He gently took my hand and wrapped the cloth around it. I looked at him confused. Why was he helping me now? "You should be careful," he said softly. "You can sit down. I'll clean it up." That moment broke something inside me. Not because he was kind, but because it was the first time someone had treated me like this. The first time anyone had treated me like this since my mother died. For the girl who bleeds silently. The next morning, he gave me a very sweet gift. It was a box of chocolates and some books. One day it was raining lightly, and my husband came home drenched in rain. It was a rainy evening. The lights went out. I lit a candle and made tea, and I gave him a towel. He said, "What did he need?" "You needed him," I replied with a slight smile. He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "My mother was like you," he said, quiet, always scared. "My father used to beat her. I used to hide under the table and listen to her cries." I looked at him in shock. "Is she dead?" "My mother died when I was little. My uncle raised me. She taught me to be tough. Never let emotions get in. That's why I don't know how to be kind sometimes." My eyes filled with tears. "You're not rude," I whispered. He looked away. I thought marrying a quiet girl would make things easier, but maybe I was wrong. He started having breakfast with me and we started getting closer. He started asking me how my day was. He bought me books, because I had once told him that I liked to read but didn't have time. He never touched me without asking. He always knocked before entering the room. He still slept on the couch. But one night he asked, "Can I sit here?" I nodded. He sat on the edge of the bed. "Are you still afraid of me?" he asked. I looked down. "Not that much," I said quietly. He smiled. "This is a beginning." It had been 4 months since we got married. One day I told him everything. About my stepmother. About how I begged him not to get married. How I cried the whole wedding night. About how I felt like I had lost my voice. He didn't stop me. He just kept listening. It was a cold night. I was coughing. My fever was rising. She was with me all night. Suddenly, I woke up crying. I don't know why. Maybe it was the fever. Maybe it was the years of silence. He held me gently. He kissed my forehead. I couldn't stop him because I had fallen in love with him too. Because he was my husband. It was the first time he had ever hugged me. He didn't say, "Take off your clothes." He said, "Can I sit with you?" I nodded. He looked uncomfortable. "I love you," he whispered. "But I will never touch you unless you love me." I stared at him. And suddenly all the fear, the pain, and the silence were gone. Because now I saw a man, a broken man, a healing man, a gentle man. I reached for his hand. I smiled and looked at him. I looked slowly and I said, I am ready, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. That night I gave myself to him. Not by obligation, but by choice. We have a small house, a small garden. My husband makes tea for me every night when he comes home from work. We sit together and drink tea and live happily. And sometimes I still cry. But not out of fear. Out of joy. Out of healing. Out of love.